Alright, introduction video for a new channel. It's devoted to economics only. And basically what will be defended here, supported, is something I call incentive economics, but you know, you can call it whatever you want. It's not communism, it's not socialism, and it's not free market, crazy ass, lunatic capitalism. Something in between, something regulated, something responsible. Something that puts the incentive carrots in all the right places. It's that kind of idea. Alright, so quickly, briefly, what's always plagued mankind is the consolidation of wealth. It is the sin. Okay, it's really, that's where it all goes wrong. That's what caused the last Great Depression. That's what's going to cause this one. It's just always been a bad idea to put control in the hands, you know, the surplus created by productive workers, in the hands of people who didn't do anything to earn it. You know, kings, queens, monarchs, noblemen, elitists, whatever you want to call these people. And in this current society, I call them the legacy wealthers. You know, the people who do no work but are paid to do no work, being paid based on what family they're born to, which is just idiotic economic policy. This principle is simple. Look, nepotism is great. Personal policy, yes, love your children all you want. It doesn't work as social policy. It's just completely corrosive and destructive. It's a huge cheat in the game of life. Economics, really, people should have an incentive to work harder, to be more productive, and that's where the incentives should be, is put in front of people that actually work. Nobody should be paid to do nothing. That's just insane. Crazy, stupid, foolish with a big F, foolish. So anyway, look, you either get rid of inheritance, the capacity to extend ownership of the capital and the society and industry and the rest of it. You either destroy that legacy by preventing it from being inherited into the future, or else you limit wealth, or you can do both. But either way, there's got to be some capacity for the system to rebirth itself, to start anew, to clean itself of the consolidation that is just so destructive. The whole idea of capitalism, in the sense of making money on money, is so corrosive and destructive. As soon as you make it possible to make money on money, to make money without doing productive work, just through ownership and manipulation of that ownership, you have to extract that money from something. You can't just pick the money off a tree. It has to come from something, and what it comes from is the value of work. You have to exploit a worker somewhere to extract that profit. If you're going to make money on surplus, on money, that's the only way it can happen. And I like using the analogy of a wheat silo. If you have a silo full of wheat, it's a valuable surplus, and it should retain its value into the future, but you don't have any expectation that the wheat kernels will multiply in the silo and you'll end up with twice as much wheat in 3 years. That notion, that idea, is ludicrous, and as soon as we allow capital or surplus to do that, we not only devalue that wheat, but we devalue the workers who produce that wheat. And that's the corruption and corrosion of the system. It just breaks the system down. The rich don't create jobs. Demand creates jobs, and supply will be provided based on the strength and veracity of that demand. And there's no need for rich people or capitalists to, you know, be there to steal their percentages. I think reasonable estimates are that the top 5%, the top wealthiest 5% of the people probably own 2/3 of the value of our economy. They produce, you know, 1/100th of the work, the real productive innovation, anything you want to call it, and yet they extract 2/3 of the value. So if you're an average working person, if you're any working person, if you do any productive work whatsoever, you could receive 3 times the value of that work. Real compensation would probably be at least twice as much. Probably more like 3 times. So your house could be 3 times bigger. You could have 3 cars. You know, go right down the list. Everything would be multiplied by 3. You could work 3 times less hours. You know, instead of a 40 or 60 hour, 70 hour week, yeah, you could cut that down to 20 and live the same lifestyle if you weren't feeding big giant parasites, the rich. And so anyway, the simple outline would be, look, okay, inheritance is the easy one to fix. You just end all inheritance, or put a limit on it of $2 million or some other rational number, and just say that's it. Anything over that is taxed at 100%. There's just no capacity to move wealth from through to the generations. You can give them a cheat, you can give them a head start, but no over the finish line victory dance nonsense. Okay, you have to earn that. You have to build that head start into something. You're going to still be forced to at least run half the race. If you're not going to be forced to run the whole race, you should be at least obligated to run half the race. And that seems more than a reasonable limitation. And so if you can't do that, the other way to do it is to stop the wealth from growing in the first place. Businesses are not themselves anything unique. Okay, it's just a run business. So if every business was public, the money to start the business was publicly provided as seed money and then paid back at a fair interest rate to the government, the business itself can excrete enough productivity from its workers to pay for itself and then belong to the workers itself. And every business could be structured where the top, the person running the business, say, could get paid $250,000 as a maximum salary, and the lowest paid employee for 8 hours a day work would get paid $35,000. And within that structure, people could compete for their value. I don't see anything inhuman or draconian or horrible about such a system. You could still prove your worth, and you could still get fairly and very well compensated for it. If you're making $250,000, you're going to be a rich person. You're going to live a nice lifestyle compared to everybody else. Remember that $250,000 is going to be worth $700,000 in a real economy. So it's going to be a lot of money to live on. So it's not going to be any deprived lifestyle, because the value of work is going to increase by moving to such a system. Productive work. So anyway, the business would basically be owned by the people working in them. They would get a percentage, but there would be the objective would be to basically run the business as a non-profit. It would the only thing extracted from the employees would be the money to maintain the business's productivity, to maintain it as a good working environment, producing a good product at a fair price and all that jazz. And people get paid for their work fairly. So anyway, so there's those two elements. Either you control the wealth or you control the inheritance of the wealth. And on the inheritance side, yeah, it would be taxed at 100%. It would have to go back to the government, or it could only go, like, say, if you had $40 billion, it would be ludicrous, in my opinion, to create some sort of racket where people can create private foundations that have all kinds of loopy ambitions that might just end up squandering the money. So there'd have to be approved ways to funnel that money, give them some choice maybe in how the government will tax the surplus, essentially. But remember, that's all a tax is too. A tax is basically the government saying, we're going to take control of some surplus of the, they're going to call it that, that they extract from the workers and from the economy, to invest in things that are productive for the civilization. And we the people should have the right to manage such a system. Really, the only thing that has to be controlled is the battle between consumers and workers. So as long as their power is semi-equally divided, the excesses can be prevented. And anyway, in a rational system, you won't need unions, you won't need all the rest of this crud, because it'll be fair for everyone. Everybody will play by the same rules. That's another fault in this system, is to do it all piecemeal, to say, well, if you have vital enough a service you're providing, we'll give you extortion power. But if you're not providing a vital service, we'll give you no power and give you the liability of perhaps being so, where your life is even used up, where you compromise your health and your welfare just to retain a job. That kind of inequity, there's no excuse for it. Work has to be valued. every little bit of it. It doesn't matter how dirty the job is. It doesn't matter how many people are dumb enough or too stupid to acquire better work or do better work. It's still work, and it's got to, people should value it. So anyway, I think that's enough for a beginning. So anyway, that's going to be the focus of this channel. It isn't. I'm not suggesting communism. I'm not suggesting even socialism. I'm just suggesting a structured system where there's a cap on the excesses at the top and the excesses at the bottom, and a framework for some sort of free market to work within that can't get out of control. Right now, statistically, the wealth figures, the consolidation figures, the amount of money held by the richest 1 or 2 or 3%, the numbers are as bad as they were in 1929. And that's why this economy is crashing.